The Lincoln Christian Bulldogs are back in the state championship game, and on Saturday afternoon, they will be looking for their third consecutive state title and for the third straight season, capping off a perfect season as they come into Saturday's game with a 41 game winning streak after going undefeated and winning the last two state championships. I'm Michael Knight from Prep Red Zone, Oklahoma, and this is our look at the Lincoln Christian Bulldogs. And I'm joined now by their head coach, Jerry Ricke. And coach, it's December and the Bulldogs are still playing, but that's kind of been the MO over the last several years and really over the last decade. Lincoln Christian playing meaningful football in the playoffs, competing for state championships year after year. Um, let's start with this season and this group because it's so easy to focus on the winning streak and talk about, back-to-back championships. But at the end of the day, this is a new team. This 2025 version isn't what, the 2023 team did or the 2024 team did. Their accolades aren't this year's team's accolades, but at the same time, it's continuing the trend of, winning meaningful games and competing for state championships. Just talk to me about this year's team. What's different about this squad compared to the last two that raised the gold ball?
Yeah, it's a great point you make, and we make that point with our kids right away. The first meeting we have before spring ball is our senior class, especially. You're gonna be remembered for what the 2025 season, this group. Even though you've had some success in the past with other teams, as a senior class is what you're gonna be remembered for. And so we take that seriously, and I know they do as well, and they want to set their own mark. As far as differences, I think we're very similar to what we've been doing the past couple of years. But I think a big difference has been our defense this year. It has been really good, and I'm really proud of those guys on that side of the ball. Our coaching staff, Coach Comfort, does a great job with his organization. They're in the other room right now, organizing right now as we speak, and that's one thing they love doing, and they do a great job of it. But our players take that game plan, they go out and execute it. And I'm really proud of our defense this year. It kind of probably set us apart a little bit from the last couple of years.
Talk about some of the players that have stood out on that defense because, going into the semifinal game against Heritage Hall, you guys hadn't given up a touchdown since late September. Just a dominant performance throughout district play into the first two rounds of the playoffs. This defense, like you mentioned, is special. And look, coming into this season, with all the guys that you brought back, especially on the defensive line, you probably knew that you had a chance to be pretty special on that side of the ball. But talk about some of the players that have stood out to make this unit so dominant for the first 13 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said the defensive line, and that starts up front with Lincoln Torres. He's our emotional leader. He leads by example. He leads by the way he practices, the way he gives effort in practice. He's an outstanding young man, and I tell our kids just watch what he does, and if he's doing it, you do it. And he's a great leader. He's got his running buddies up there, Colt Muncie and Rain Ragland. And those three just allow us to do a lot of different things with the back eight. We trust those guys, and they've done a great job stopping the run, putting pressure on the quarterback, and so it lets us be multiple behind those guys. Our linebacking core, Connor Rowlett, a senior that's played really well this year, really come on. Parker Rogers and Isaac Beisel have played great, and those three guys are fantastic, and they pursue the ball well, and I think they really appreciate the three in front of them. And then behind those guys, you have our safeties, C.J. Wright, Braden Baker, and Gabe Hunsinger has stepped into a role that he's done really well. And those guys, couldn't be more proud of them. We trust them. We put a lot on their plate as well. And our two corners, Hudson Ferris and Caleb Peterson, have just played fantastic ball throughout the year. So, when you put all three levels together and they all trust each other, you get a pretty good defense, and that's what we have this year.
Going to the offensive side of the ball, you guys have done a really good job of being balanced throughout the season. But at the same time, when I look at Lincoln Christian this year and some of the production that you've had, it feels like a run first team, and which it maybe is weird for some people. Like you think about Lincoln Christian football, you think about all the quarterbacks that have come through this program and the production that we've seen from the passing game. But when you have two very dynamic running backs with CJ Wright and Braden Baker, both bring something a little different to the table. Baker more of your prototypical, he can carry it, 20, 25 times. And then CJ, one of the most dynamic players in the state of Oklahoma. He can take any, play, carry, reception, kick return, whatever it is. And if there's even a little bit of space, he's going for the end zone. Not a lot of people as fast as CJ Wright to slow him down. Talk about the running game and specifically, and even your son, the quarterback run game has been so great for the Bulldogs over the last couple of years. It feels like Lincoln is slowly turning into a run first team over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much a team that will take whatever the defense gives us or whatever we want and try to impose our will on other teams. We have a great offensive line, and it starts up front with them. And I have all five of those guys back from last year, and they're a great unit. They play well together. They're experienced. They know each other. They know how to work together. Logan Kelly stepped in at tight end this year and done a fantastic job. And it starts with those guys. I'm going to name them off real quick, but Lincoln Torres, Carson Elix, Caden Claybrook, T.H. Harrell, and Colt Muncie. And I'm really proud of those guys. And then, you add Rain Ragland and Isaac Beiselen at fullbacks, and we're able to do a lot of stuff there. But like you said, our running backs are both really dynamic players. They're different, and but they're really good together. And they push each other and they cheer for each other. And then you throw Carter in there, and the other night I think they had 160 yards, 130 yards, and 125 yards between the three of them each. And so it was the balanced attack that we were looking for going into that game. And so, but if teams are going to press up and play and give us some spots that we can throw, we feel very comfortable. Carter's a very high percentage quarterback. He throws a lot of completions. And, we've got Hudson Ferris and Braden McMullen has stepped in and done a great job. Caleb Peterson, and then Brett Casty's coming back from injury, and we're excited that he's back. And, just a bunch of weapons, CJ and Braden, obviously in the pass game as well. So, we want to be a multiple offense. We always have. And we'll take what the defense gives us. And so, but it helps to run the ball. It helps open up our RPOs, our play action. And, that's kind of what the way we prefer is to work from the run game out. And, we know we're going to need that this week.
Now, I've asked you this in the past because you've had the benefit of coaching your sons, multiple sons in this Lincoln Christian program over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. Carter Ricke, his second year as QB1 for the Bulldogs, started as a sophomore as well on the defensive side of the ball. Just talk about what it's meant to you. To be able to coach your kids, and obviously you see the success that they've been able to have. Not only is it special as a coach, but it has to be special as a dad.
Oh, it's fantastic. God's really blessed our family. He's blessed me with this opportunity to coach my boys, and there was times I think they would all say they wish, their dad didn't coach them, but I think, at the end of the day, after this is all said and done, and we can look back, I think there's a lot of good times had, but with all of them. And I have my oldest son Chase is now helping us coach, and he's coaching Carter, and so Carter's learning a lot from him. And there's just a enjoyable moments as a dad, and sometimes you have to separate that as a coach. But there's also times where you need to be a dad, and that's what's fun. The other night, just watching Carter have fun after the game, just enjoy himself with his friends. That's what it's all about. And it's nice to have your kid out there at quarterback because I need a person to trust, and there's a lot of them we have out there, but there's a lot of times we're going to put it in his hands and see what he can do with it.
I can't wait for Saturday. I've talked about this with several other coaches. Saturday, I keep using the same word. It's going to be a spectacle of high school football in the state of Oklahoma because you have the 3A championship game at noon, a championship game rematch between Lincoln and Sulphur. But then at 7 o'clock on Saturday, the 4A championship game, which is another rematch with Elgin and Tuttle. If you're a football fan, Edmond, Oklahoma is going to be the place to be on Saturday, let alone the other 2 days this week with championship games. But we get the rematch from last year's 3A title game. Lincoln Christian and Sulphur, two teams that have been 1-2 all season long, two teams that are undefeated coming into this week's championship game. When you look at Sulphur on film, this year's version of the Bulldogs, what was the first thing that stood out to you?
I mean, honestly, they remind me a lot of ourselves. You know, they want to establish the run game. They throw the ball very well when they need to, and the opportunity arises. And when you flip on their defense, it's very similar to us. The structure is a little different, but the fact that they're relentless in their effort, they're tough, they fly to the football. You know, there's a lot of similarities. So, you know, just nothing but the utmost respect for Coach Cole, their players, their coaches, they do it right, and you can see that when you watch film. You know, I know Coach Cole personally, and he's a great man, and we text a lot throughout the year, and we're both happy to be here. And you know, I know Saturday, you know, we're gonna have to set that aside for a couple hours, but you know, regardless of what happens, you know, we're still gonna be friends, and we're still gonna respect each other's programs, and you know, that's what I see with Sulphur, just a bunch of guys that love playing football, that play it the right way, that coach it the right way, and you know, that's what I hope they see in us as well.
They do. I can say that firsthand. And, we have these one-on-one conversations, and Coach Cole was, said all the same things about Lincoln Christian. And he pointed out the fact that, the day after last year's state title game, he made it very clear to his community, his program, that the goal was to get back here, but more specifically, the goal was to see Lincoln Christian again. And it was out of respect for, the Lincoln Christian program. And look, last year's game was special, and so if we can see part two, if we can see even close to what last year's game was, it'll be special not only for these two programs but for the state of Oklahoma. You mentioned the players. How much do you use last year's state title game, when preparing your kids? Because when I look at Sulphur, the conversation starts with number 4 Maddox Mobley. He was special in that state title game last year. He's been special all season. In my opinion, he's one of the best players in the state of Oklahoma. How much do you use last year's state title game, when you're breaking down with your kids, with your defense that has been so stingy and so special all season? Like, you guys were good last year too, and he was still able to find the end zone 4 or 5 times that night. How much do you use that to motivate these guys?
I mean, we use it a little bit. We look at what they're doing this year mostly, but you know, every good coach is going to go back and look at the success they had and the failure they had in the last time they played them. We did the same thing. What plays did we run that worked, and what plays did we run that should have worked if we'd executed a little better? And I think they're probably doing the same thing. And you know, he had a lot of success against us last year. He is a, you know, you said it. He's a fantastic football player, one of the best in the state, if not the best player in the state, because he plays both sides of the ball, and he's really good on defense as well. And so we know we're going to have our hands full. Our kids love a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge. But yeah, we look a little bit at last year, but we're really trying to see what they are doing this year. They're a different team this year. They got a different quarterback, different offensive linemen, but they want to do the same thing, and that's run the football, and it's you know, spread you out a little bit in the bubble screen game, and but you know, it all starts and ends with him. They want to give him the ball and get him going. They also have a really good another running back, that number 7, and he's a really good. You can't just you know, put all your focus on Mobley, because I think it's JoJo Gray will
Yes.
he will make you pay, and that's one of the things that's probably a little different than last year, is the dynamic ability that he has as well.
There's going to be a lot of really good players on the field on Saturday in Edmond, and we're finishing all these conversations with a very simple question for me to ask. The answer might be coach speak, cliche, whatever it may be. But when you look at this game on Saturday at noon between Lincoln Christian and Sulphur, what's going to be the biggest key for Lincoln Christian, those Bulldogs from Tulsa, to go to Edmond and get a third consecutive state championship?
We need to not turn the football over. Last year we turned it over too much, and we put our defense in tough spots. And you know, one of the things we talk about all the time, a lot of it is a result of last year's state championship game. Looking back, and we did this Friday night against Heritage Hall. We executed this very well as playing complementary football, and you know, using the run game a little bit to slow the other offense down, or you know, punting when you know, have to punt and putting them back. We really feel confident with our defense. And so just, you know, taking care of the football, don't put our defense in bad spots. and then, try to get good field position. We have a fantastic kicker in Cooper Housley. He's kicked 90%, kickoffs in the end zone and touchbacks, and we want to make them drive the field, the full field. And so, doing that, and then, offensively, we want to run the football, but we also need to execute in the passing game when we have opportunities. But if you're asking for one big thing, it's take care of the football and play great defense.
You play great defense all season. There's one more game, and like I mentioned, if it can be even close to what we saw last year between these two teams, I continue to use that word, and I'll use it all week. I don't care. It's the best word to describe it. It's going to be a spectacle on Saturday, not only at noon but at 7 o'clock as well. What a great representation of Oklahoma high school football this season. Two great programs facing off for the second straight year. One of those teams going to end off this season with a perfect year, perfect 14-0 record. Two great programs, two great rosters of fantastic players and coaching staffs. I can't wait. It's going to be a fun day of football in Edmond. Coach, thanks so much for your time. Congrats on making it back to the state title game, and we'll catch up before kickoff on Saturday.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate everything that you do for high school football in the state of Oklahoma, and you do a fantastic job, and we're just privileged to be a part of it.
It's going to be a heavyweight fight on Saturday afternoon in Edmond. Number one, Lincoln Christian looking for a third consecutive state championship, also a 42nd consecutive victory. In order to do that, they got to get past the number two ranked Sulphur Bulldogs. It was an instant classic this year or last year. We can only hope for the same thing this year. For Coach Ricke, I'm Michael Knight, and this has been a look at the Lincoln Christian Bulldogs. For the one-on-one conversation with Sulphur head coach Corey Cole, you can check that out right now on our Prep Red Zone Oklahoma YouTube channel, as well as all of our preview content leading up to kickoff on Saturday for the 3A state title game. Again, for Coach Ricke, I'm Michael Knight. This has been a look at the Lincoln Christian Bulldogs going into the 3A state title game.